Alright, welcome back to another Warhammer Fantasy Battle game report. We've got High Elves versus Vampire counts, but you'll probably notice in the middle of the picture there is a dragon. Let me explain this. No, it's not a Prince and a Star Dragon, it is a Dragon Mage. Yes, that's right, it's a simple old Dragon Mage, one of those really weird High Elf characters that got added into 7th edition, and let me tell you, this is probably one of the weakest things in the High Elf book. Anybody who plays High Elves will know that it's just not a very powerful character, but just to be fun and fluffy in this particular game, I've decided to drop my normal armulus setup and just let you guys watch the Dragon... the Mage Prince character. This is a fluffy addition to the army just for a one-off game to have a bit of fun. It's a Sun Dragon, not a Star Dragon, and it's ridden by a level 2 mage who has to pick spells from the Lore of Fire. So that's one bad thing about the mage. It costs about 400 points after you tool it up, and it can be easily killed by any kind of shooting or magic. The dragon's terrible in close combat. It's only got 4 attacks. The mage itself is allowed to swap one of its spells for... the Flaming Sword, but the enemy can just dispel it in the combat phase anyway, and it remains in place, so you can't cast your other spells. One interesting thing is that you don't get +1 to dispel with your mages you normally would with other High Elf mages, but you do get an extra free power dice to add to your casting dice when you roll for a spell. Anyway, I'll talk more about the Dragon Mage shortly. We've got High Elf deployment here from right to left, archers and Dragon Princes all marked on the flank. Now, that's not one big unit of 10 Dragon Princes, it's just 2 units of 5. No banners, champions, or musicians whatsoever. There are no combat characters in this army at all. I've got 3 mages, 2 mages on foot, and 1 Dragon Mage, and the rest of the army is on the other side of the picture. Now, next photo you can see the dragon in a bit of closer detail. This is a dragon that I actually owned about 10 years ago when I was a kid, and my friend brought around his ancient collection of models, and I realized I still had my old dragon in various parts, so we reassembled it, put it together, and I used a metallic coat of paint over it. Anybody curious about how I achieved the particular color of it? It's pretty much a 50-50 blend of mithril silver and shining gold to create this very kind of weird fantasy-like metallic color on it, but the the Dragon Mage on top is just a mage done from the standard 7th edition mage kit. Anyway, this Dragon Mage, I thought I'd give it a spin because I'm playing against vampire counts and he doesn't have too much shooting in his army, and I just thought I'd have a bit of fun using a character that I would never take along to a tournament. He's definitely one of the least cost-efficient things in the list, but just thought I'd try him out because nobody else uses this guy, and it's just a bit of a laugh and not a serious game. Next photo, you can see my opponent, who I'm up against, is the Vampire Counts guy that you might have seen some reports of before. Well, in my most recent sort of quick review of several weekends worth of Warhammer. This guy is quickly becoming one of my regular opponents. This is the 4th time I've played him. I won 2 of the previous games we had and lost one of them, and he's got a Vampire Lord on foot who's a bit of a caster. You can see the vampire, it's a female vampire, in the rearmost skeleton unit just in the corner. But he's also got some Black Knights in the forest, as well as a Necromancer represented by the classic Heinrich Kemmler, and another unit of Black Knights behind the hill in the background with some Fellbats. But yeah, this guy's army is quite well rounded. He's got some Wraiths in the wood as well, right next to the Black Knights. A very cool army, very balanced. He's got a lot of magic in it, especially with that Master of the Black Arts ability on the Archmage. But yeah, have quite a good time by playing against this guy, and I think his list is quite formidable. Next photo, you show the other side of the battlefield. It's got Wraiths, Black Knights, Fellbats behind the forest there, and on this side of the battlefield I've just got a couple of Chariots and an Eagle, and repeater bolt throwers, which are sort of further south of the photo. Nothing too much to talk about. Really kept this flank open. After I deployed everything, I hadn't put down my 2 Dragon Princes or the characters yet, so I decided to bulk up the left-hand side flank with the Dragon Princes and the Mage, just to try and get out of harm's reach with everything else on the other flank that he's put in. I was just going to slow him down on the right-hand side of the field rather than engaging all of that nastiness. Next photo, the Vampire Counts win the roll for the first turn, decide to take the first turn, resulting in Vampires moving forward, Wraiths moving out of the cover, Fellbats moving in front of the Black Knights. Now, interestingly, Fellbats moving in front of the forest there, but in charge range of the Chariots, and I'm not sure if my opponent realized that. Tyrannoc Chariots have a very long charge range of 18, so they can actually deal with the Fellbats, assuming they pass their fear tests, quite effectively. Now, my opponent is just he's trying Forbidden Lore out this game. He decided to go for the Lore of Death rather than the Lore of Vampires with his Uber Vampire Lord, and we'll find out how that worked out for him. Initially, in the first round of Magic, he did get a Magic Missile off on the Dragon Mage, and I was like, oh man, painted this guy up just for one game, and I was thinking he was going to die in the first turn without even leaving the start line, but he took 1 wound, so he's down to 1 wound left. He started with 2, but the Dragon's fine. We'll see how that progresses. Next photo, the High Elf turn responds with both chariots passing their fear test and running straight into the Felbats, surely wiping the Felbats out in close combat and overrunning into the Black Knight. So a little bit of a misstep there by my opponent. Don't really expect the chariots to beat the Black Knights in combat, even with the charge, but we'll see. There is a character there. At least that gets rid of the Felbats, which can be very annoying later on in the game. Next photo, on the left-hand side of the flank. Oh, I love that dragon. It just looks so cool. Love the old edition, steel version of it, metal version. And Dragon Prince is riding around the flank, one of them very close to the table edge, and the other one just carrying on the front. Plan here is to try and get some flank charges, maybe even using the dragon for a rank breaker, if possible. Or it's quite dangerous committing that mage into close combat. You really only want to do that against soft targets. And everywhere else things seem to be going okay. You can see my magic cards at the back. People constantly asking me where the magic cards come up. I've said a number of times where to get them. Basically, if you want magic cards like the one I've got here, basically they're like Magic the Gathering art on top of cards which tell you the Warhammer rules. Just go to Google and type in Warhammer Magic spell cards and go to the first link. Trust me, and print them out. That's the easiest way to do it. Now, my Archmage has all of the laws in the Law of Fire except for Arrow Attraction and Fury of Cain, so they're level 2 with the Seer Staff picked those 2 spells, and the Dragon Mage has got the Flaming Sword, the Burning Head, and the Fiery Blast, so quite a good selection of spells there from the Dragon Mage. And first round of shooting and magic didn't really achieve too much. I just did draw out a scroll, but didn't really get anything else off. Next photo, the Dragon Mage breathes some fire. I think I might be using the wrong template. We were looking around the house for a template, and I think this might have been the one from the 40k scale of things. But anyway, the dragon, we decided to use this template anyway. The dragon is out of range for this fiery blast, but you can get a good sense of flaming, burning fire across the battlefield with this photo, which is quite cool. Sorry, very tongue-tied for this battle report, guys. So just let's go to the next photo, where the Tyrannok chariots have burst through the Felbats and overrun into the Blood Knights, the Black Knights, sorry. But there is a vampire on foot there, and I got 6 impact hits and several wounds, but he saved all of them with his armor, and attacks back didn't really work out too well. Going to the next photo, you can see overhead there's a little coin on the base for the Dragon Mage, where you can just tell that the Dragon Mage itself has taken a wound. The White Lions have moved into the forest, just fanning out with their sort of rank frontage of 7. I take a unit of 14 these days, which seems to be the optimal number for them, in my opinion. And everybody else hanging back. The Eagle's just waiting for an opportunity to do stuff. The Block's sort of moving out, getting into positions with a Vampire Lord protected at the back. Next photo, the Wraiths, because this is the Vampire's responding turn. In the High Elf turn, the Felbats were beaten and the chariots overran into the Blood Knights, but the Black Knights, sorry, I keep calling them Blood Knights, but they are Black Knights. It's probably because they look red. Then in the following Vampire turn, during the movement phase, the Wraiths charge the chariots in the flank. Now, what happens here is the first chariot gets destroyed by the Wraiths, and the second one flees as a result of the combat, and the Eagle's just hanging back around the side here. Next photo, you can see what's happened as a result of that combat. The Wraiths decided not to overrun so that they don't, go too far in the wrong direction, and the Black Knights overrun, just getting rid of the chariot, which flees and basically runs it down. Chariot rolled fairly low on its flee roll there, and the bolt throws will now be able to open up on the Blood Knights. Next photo, the Dragon Mage moves around behind the enemy lines, behind the skeletons. I'm really setting myself up for a Van Hells there, but Drain Magic should be able to sort something out. I've actually taken the Trickster's Pendant in this game, and oh man, we'll see how that works out later on, but the Eagle moving in the way of the Black Knights so that they can't charge the White Lions, and preferably setting them up for a charge from the Dragon Mage in the flank if things go my way later on, but we'll see how that works out. And a good bit of magic and shooting this turn. I think I did some damage to the Wraiths and got Drain Magic off, which was really good to see. Next photo, you can see the Dragon Mage just towering over these Black Knights here, getting some flaming breath off and the eagle moving in the way. This is quite a good photo. Really loving the imposing figure of the dragon on the battlefield. Love the model too. It's just so much better than the new plastic High Elf Dragon, in my opinion. Some people really love that kit, but I don't actually like it that much. I prefer the old steel dragon. As I'm liking the, I'm going to call my dragon the Steel Dragon from now on. Sun Dragon, Steel Dragon, because he looks like he's made out of metal. Next photo, the eagle moves out in the way of the Black Knights, preventing them from charging over here. Part of the reason for that is that the vampire on foot has movement 9, so I didn't want him charging over and killing my mages. That would not have been good, so put the eagle in the way of that, so preventing that from happening. Next photo, the white lines move out around in front of the skeletons.